In Book 3, find out why Ameer and Ameerah were not confident about their math skills. So instead of facing their fear, they made a choice that got them sent to Nurse Crumpler. Oh no, what happens in class while they're in Nurse Crumpler's office? What do they learn? Do they even learn anything that day? Could they have made a better choice? Get ready to learn about the number positions as you find out what happens in Book 3. Ameer was staring at his junior counter JB. "What are you thinking about?" asked Ameerah, his twin sister. "I don't understand how this junior counter can help us with math," said Ameer, sounding confused. "It looks like a super cool tool, but where are the numbers? How can we do math without numbers?" Said Ameerah. "That's a good point. I didn't think about that. Maybe we missed a lesson at school." "Will you ask Mistress Crayola?" Ameer asked hopefully. "No way, I'm too scared," said Ameerah. "If I ask, she might think I'm not a good student. Why don't you ask?" "No way. I'm also scared," Ameer said. "So what should we do?" "Maybe we could pretend to be sick," Ameer suggested. "Then she'll never know." "That's a good plan," Ameer agreed. Decided, the twins then leapt into their boat and zoomed towards academia. "Today is an exciting day, Mathematician Junior," said Mistress Crayola. "Today we make numbers come to life. Your junior counter is important. My stomach," moaned Ameer. "Please go to the board and write the number 0," moaned Ameerah. Once Maimuna had done this, Mistress Crayola was concerned. "Perfect. Children, now, if you're not feeling well, please go to Nurse Crumpler." Your junior counter. Once the twins had limped out of class, looking as sick as possible, Mistress Crayola continued with the lesson. The 0 position, Mistress Crayola demonstrated, is when there are no beads touching the neck. Help the Mathematician Juniors first. Point to the students who are correct and help the one who needs help. Help students who didn't get the correct position by putting your junior counter in the 0 position and showing them the correct position. Now it's your turn to work. Either, if you have your paper, circle the junior counter position to 0 or point to it on the screen. After checking everyone's junior counters, Mistress Crayola continued. "Great! Now, Maida, please write the number 1 on the board." Once Maida finished this, Mistress Crayola said, "Perfect! Now let's learn how the number 1 is positioned on your junior counters." The number 1 position, Mistress Crayola demonstrated, looks like this. Everyone, please position your junior counters to the 1 position. "Ooh," said the students as they followed her instruction. Did all of the students get the number 1 position correct? Use your junior counter to help the students who did not get the correct position. Show them how you did it. Now it's your turn. Either circle the junior counter if you have paper or point to the junior counter's position to the number 1. After checking everyone's junior counters, Mistress Crayola continued. "Great! Now, Alex, please write the number 2 on the board." Once Alex had done this, Mistress Crayola said, "Nice handwriting, Alex. Now, let's learn how the number 2 is positioned on your junior counters." "Ooh," Mistress Crayola Crayola, said Maimuna, is this the position for number 2? Mistress Crayola looked at Maimuna's junior counter. Yes, you're catching on very quickly. Well done. Then she looked at the class and said, now you all practice. Did all the mathematician juniors get the number 2 position correct? Help the students who did not get the correct position. Show what they need to do with your junior counter. Okay, now it's your turn. Either circle the junior counter position to the number 2 if you have paper, or point to the correct junior counter position to the number 2 on the screen. After checking everyone's junior counters, Mistress Crayola continued, Great, Adam. Please write the number 3 on the board. Perfect, said Mistress Crayola when he was done. Now, can you show me where you think the number 3 is positioned on your junior counter? Adam stumbled over his untied laces on his way to the board. He regained his balance and said, I'm okay. Adam dear, said Mistress Crayola, please tie your laces, then look at your number 3 and write it correctly. Excellent work, said Mistress Crayola approvingly. When he got it right, Adam beamed with pride. Which mathematician junior has the correct number 3 position? Help the students who did not get the correct position. Show them what they need to do on your junior counter. Okay, your turn. Circle the junior counter or point to the junior counter positioned to number 3. Alex, said Mistress Crayola, it's your turn. Come and write the number 4 on the board. Very good, said Mistress Crayola. And then Alex dribbled back to his desk. Mistress Crayola explained, on our junior counters, number 4 is positioned like this. 4 legs are up towards the neck in the answer position. Did all the mathematician juniors get the number 4 position correct? Help the student who did not get the correct position. Show what they need to do with your junior counter. Okay, it's your turn. Either circle or point to the junior counter correctly positioned to the number 4. Suddenly, the door opened and Nurse Crumpler came in. She whispered something into Mistress Crayola's ear. Mistress Crayola said, Aha, okay. Nurse Crumpler apologized for interrupting the class and left. She was wearing the coolest boots Maimuna has ever seen. Mistress Crayola continued, Who thinks they know what the number 5 position is? All of the students gave their best efforts to figure out the number 5 position. Good try, Alex. Not quite, Adam. No, not quite, Maimuna. Not that either, Maida. Then it must be this position, said Maimuna. Yes! Maimuna beamed with pride. Okay, it's your turn. Circle the junior counter, position to number 5, or point to the correct position 5 on your screen. Can I write the number 6 on the board? Asked Maida, feeling confident. Sure, said Mistress Crayola. Can I guess how to position it? Asked Alex. Yes, of course, said Mistress Crayola. She checked what Alex had done. Correct, she said. Alex felt proud. Help Mistress Crayola by circling or pointing to any wrong positions. Draw the correct bead position. Now, help the student who did not get the correct position and show them how to do it on your junior counter. Adam threw his imaginary basketball in an imaginary hoop and asked, "Can I write number 7? "Sure," said Mistress Crayola. Adam dribbled, faked out an imaginary player, and wrote on the board. "Nice work, Adam," beamed Mistress Crayola. Adam felt capable. Maida, who had a lollipop in her back pocket, volunteered to position her junior counter to number 7. "If this is number 5 and this is 6, so this must be 7, she said as she figured it out. "Great work!" Maida felt intelligent. Place a box around the mathematician junior who correctly positioned number 7. Help the student who did not get the correct answer. Show what they need to do with your junior counter. And don't forget, say something encouraging to all the students to make the entire class feel good. Okay, it's your turn. Circle or point to the junior counter correctly positioned to number 7. The number 8 can be tricky. Check everyone's answer. Help Mistress Crayola by drawing a circle or pointing to the number 8 position on the board. Draw the correct bead position. Now, help the junior counter who did not get the correct position. Show what they need to do with your own junior counter. "And now for 9, said Mistress Crayola. "I'll write it." After she had drawn 9, she explained, "I drew a smile because I'm so happy with how hard you all are working and how well you're all doing." Suddenly, the class door opened. This time it was Ameer and Ameerah with Nurse Crumpler. The twins both had a look of shame on their faces. Nurse Crumpler and Mistress Crayola gave each other that adult look, which showed they knew something. The twins slouched in their chairs with their heads low. "Class," continued Mistress Crayola as though nothing had happened, "I want all of you to position your junior counters to the number 9. You all have done an awesome job. You came to class with a great attitude, ready to learn. Adam, Alex, good job, correct. Maimuna, correct. Maida, good job, correct. Ameer, Ameerah." Circle or point to the junior counter positioned correctly to the number 9. When all the other students had left, Mrs. Crayola spoke to Ameer and Ameerah. I'm very disappointed that you both pretended to be sick. Why did you do this? Ameer and Ameerah looked at the ground. Finally, Ameerah said, we didn't want you to think that we weren't good students. Why would you ever think that? Asked Mistress Crayola. Because we don't know how to find numbers on our junior counters, admitted Ameer. Mistress Crayola threw back her head and laughed. The twins felt embarrassed on top of their shame. Kids, why didn't you just ask? None of your classmates knew how to position their junior counters until I taught them in today's lesson. The twins looked at each other, horrified. Sorry, Mrs. Crayola, said Ameer. We'll never do that again, said Ameerah. Remember, kids, sometimes the best thing to do is to ask questions, said Mistress Crayola. Yes, Mistress Crayola. Okay, go enjoy the rest of your recess. I'll let your parents know that you'll be staying after school to learn your number positions. The twins still felt some shame, but they were relieved that their issue was resolved. In the future, they would always ask questions and never pretend to be sick again. They had missed an entire lesson. If you missed out on some of today's activities, be sure to scan the QR code to order your own junior counter. And also be sure to find out who some of our characters were named after, like Mama Obama, Nurse Crumpler, Mistress Crayola, CJ, who is Ameerah's junior counter, and JB, who happens to be Ameer's junior counter. And finally, this was just book 3 of the 8-book series of the adventures of Ameer and Ameerah. Find out more, pick up another book, or download another audiobook. Thank you for joining us with the math adventures of Ameer and Ameerah.